this what happened, somebody held a knife and said, don't say, don't dare say. And I grew up with that bitterness, anger towards mommy, towards daddy. They should have protected me. And so through that, I kept asking myself, where do boys go and share such things? Yeah. Where do men go and share? And so in that quest of all that, I discovered my purpose, that indeed God had called me to reach out to the boy, child, and men. Pastor Sam is a humble man with a very humble background. I am from a family of 6. We're now 5. And very, very passionate about masculinity, more so responsible masculinity. I'm a father of 6, and we have 4 biological children, 2 boys, 2 girls, but also we have 2 members who are really part of our family. I've been married for 21 years now, and still so passionate about things that pertain the boy child. So that's me really. I love the Lord, and of course married to 1 wife. Yes, and yeah, that's me really. Petra Families Foundation is an organization we started in 2013 when I returned from Europe. I so happened to have gone to study to do my master's in the UK. Yes. And I ended up staying there for a solid 10 years out of my life. So when we returned from Europe, I remember God impressing on my heart to just give back to men. And because also I had discovered my purpose. Because there's one thing that I really kept on thinking through, quite a number of things about some things I had gone through as a child. Yes. In my childhood. So I kept asking myself, where do boys and men find solace? Where do they find people to answer their questions? And so in that quest of all that, I discovered my purpose, that indeed God had called me to reach out to the boy, child, and men. How? I just found myself asking very weird questions. Asking men, is your wife happy? Which man asks another man if his wife is happy?
Did this come from in a curiosity of how someone else is doing, or was there an event that caused you to
Yes,
say,
it goes way back when I was 7 years old. It so happens that my dad left us when I was 7 years, and he moved on to, my mom and dad met in a small town called Masaka. That's in the, I think almost to central west of Africa, of Uganda. And then they were both civil servants. So they relocated to a small town in the east called Mbale, of Uganda, in Uganda. And then as civil servants, my dad was transferred to Tororo, and my mom stayed in Mbale. And so in that separation or gap of meeting, my dad found someone else, a nurse in the hospital where he was working. And so he ended up with 2 wives. Not only that, 3 wives, but he left at the time of that transition. I was 7 years at the time. So I so happened to have been molested by a house help. So I had this pain. Because mommy was so busy. Imagine if she was my friend, if she had come home that day, she should have said, "Oh, Sam, what happened? How was your day? What happened? How was your day?" With an open-ended question, not a closed question, because she always asked a closed question. You can understand she was a single woman going through a lot herself. So she would come and say, "Have you eaten? Have you done your homework? Go to bed." So they were closed questions. They were not open-ended questions. So I would have been at a space of, "Mommy, I have something to tell you." this what happened. Somebody held a knife and said, don't say, don't dare say. So that was missed out, and I grew up with that bitterness, anger towards mommy, towards daddy. They should have protected me. And so through that, I kept asking myself, where do boys go and share such things?
Yeah.
Where do men go and share? So in that quest is when I found myself going into writing, and Petra Family happens. And so because of finding what God called me to do, I've been able to write over 33 books in that regard, all about responsible masculinity. And the build up or the foundation to that was that really, which propelled me to start now questing, because
Yes,
at Petra Families Foundation, we have 10 programs. And these 10 programs, that's the foundation.
Yes, before we get into Petra Family Foundations, more into it,
yes.
Did you study anything in particular that made you more competent to write books, or is this something you learned eventually besides going to school?
Well, George, that's a very good question. I teach this a lot to men, especially the men that come my way, about purpose. Because, we are about 7 billion people globally, and each of us has a different fingerprint. And in that regard, you realize that each and every one of us has a gift, a different gift. I've never gone to school to study, to write the books I've written, but there's something that I always teach about, and I call this the difference between work and a job. This is what it happens, and this is what I have lived over the time. I discovered the work that God created me to do naturally was just to talk about the boy, child, and men. Wake me up at any time. I'll tell you about boys and men, and that's why you see there's some families, they say that family, they are drummers. That family, they are dancers. That family, they make either bows. Every family is gifted. So are we as individuals. For me, it's about boys and men. It's something that God just wired me to do. And discovering this came from, of course, that foundation I shared about. And so work is what God has wired you to do. Like Genesis 1 and 2, we read that God created man to tend the garden, to reproduce, and to have domain of basically nature that God had placed them as responsibility.
Yes.
But then Genesis 3 happens and man falls. And that's what I call a job. The job where God tells them that tells the man, you're going to till the ground. And of course, you're going to sweat. You're going to sweat and till the ground. Now that's the job. Now that's where we are accountants. By training, I'm a culture tourism consultant. So me doing culture tourism, that is where the fall is. So that's my 8 to 5, which at times I call the golden chains. That if you only know your 8 to 5 and your profession, time will come when you retire at 60, and when you get your money or gratuity, many men have gone to build a white elephant back home in the village. And they live in that white elephant, which is a house, for 3-4 days, maybe 4-10 years, and they die because they have missed out on their work, which is their purpose. But when you discover your purpose, you can never retire from work. Yes. Like me, until my last day of breathing, I'll be talking to the boys and men, even on my deathbed. Why? Because I can't retire from a gift that God has given you. And that's my purpose. God wired me to do that. But there's a job which the world has trained me, which is culture tourism, which is not something I'll take home with. That's something I can retire from, but I can't retire from the work that God has wired me to do, which is my purpose.
Back to Petra Family Foundations, you said 2013.
Yeah.
You left Europe.
Yeah.
With the main aim to work on your purpose.
Right.
Please, may we dive deeper into that? Coming into Uganda. Yes.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. Of course, many friends of mine kept asking, what are you really doing? I would receive calls. Are you managing? How are you? And I'd also call in at times where it was, remember, it's 10 years away from home. Coming back, of course, there was a bit of a culture shock again of just really time management. For instance, I was a freak at time management, and I just realized I think I'll get high blood pressure, because for me, when you come 10 minutes after time, you'll not find me because I'll be gone. Why? And people were getting offended with such small things. But yes, I came back, and 2 years later, after I was here, the person who really anchored me to the real thing, because I was now doing meeting boys and men, and it wasn't really, it was vague. But I went to Nairobi in a church called Mavuno, and I met my mentor, Simon Mbevi, who just really nailed it for me. He told me, this is the thing that God has been calling you to do over time, because I realized I was just all over the place. He anchored me to the right direction, because he's also reaching out to the boy, child, and men in Kenya. Yes, so yes. He guided me onto that, and I was able to get to the right direction of what God had called me to do. So yeah, that's one of the things that really happened. I was able to nail it, right? Because there was somebody who really helped me. He had gone there before. And I always I tell the men that getting a mentor is one thing that every man should. Because I remember losing a house, which I bought in 2009, because I didn't have a mentor. I was all over the place looking for, trying to please, people pleasing. And yet I didn't have somebody to hold my hand. I always tell men, this has been from a school of hard knocks, going to places and learning the hard way, that the best way you can learn and go far and see far is go stand on the giants who have gone before you, step on their shoulders, and you indeed see far. And that helped me and guided me to see that I was able to come up with the 10 curriculums that were running fully at Petra Families Foundation. If you want to go far, you need to go with a group of people. One thing that men struggle with, for instance, is a place of accountability. You need a band of brothers to do life with. So in Man of Honor, men come and meet, and they do life together with other brothers. And we challenge these men to the extent of one coming up with a vision, one coming up with a mission statement, values that you're going to walk by, and people hold you accountable for the values. The men hold you accountable, especially your comrade in arms. And then, of course, we ask you to look ahead of yourself for 50 years, 70 years. What will people say about you? What legacy are you living for? And so this is a beautiful place of just growing into your personality, growing into your doing life with other men and other people. And so our programs at Petra Families Foundation, God has graced us to, we call them experiences, because they are 10 weeks. You come and experience the programs, you interact, you engage, you connect with the men, and then also you get challenged to do some things that you're going to be doing different.